Evening all. I thought it was about time I cranked out another one of these. It's been a goodly while for a number of reasons. I mean, the main one is that we're still in lockdown. And I'm with my family 24/7. I don't have those free daytimes that I did to research, write, prepare and edit these videos. So usually when everybody goes to bed, I'm quite exhausted and want to do something else, unwind, not sort of immerse myself in the culture wars. I've also been on a lot of live streams recently. Fake Accents Unite 100th episode special. And that was, if you listen to it that night, that was chaotic. By the time I got on there, I was scheduled to do the final couple of hours of the show with Mark and whoever was around, and there was Dankula and there was Radlib and Britisher and a number of other people, and it was a lot of fun, but it was quite chaotic in that final stretch before the end of the stream. I also was on Al Shire Tory's show. Fantastic, and I hadn't met him before, and I was there with Plantagenet and Jaws the Great and Powerful. It was a really good show. I recommend you look up that one, not because of anything profound that I said. I just think the conversation was really good on that. I did the Politisphere with British Knight, and I was on Laughing at the Guardian with Whammon with Taffy. And again, I really enjoy these shows. And what happens is the stuff I was going to say in the Biscuit, I ended up saying on these live streams, so I didn't want to double up on that. But things have reached a saturation point in the news, and I just felt I had to comment on some of the things that have been going on. I suppose the theme running through the stories that I've noticed this week is a kind of cognitive dissonance of the left. You know, the levels of hypocrisy are so incredibly high. So, for example, when is an endorsement of a presidential candidate not an endorsement of a presidential candidate? Well, if you're Richard Spencer. Because Richard Spencer, leading figure of the American alt-right, and we're talking, he's so far into the alt-right that he's actually gone sort of ethno-nationalist, kind of crypto-fascist, really. But what's happened with Spencer is that he's recently endorsed Joe Biden for president because he feels that the Democrats are competent. That's what he said. And he's put out a little picture banner where he endorses Biden. Now, the Democrats and their supporters have responded by saying he's just trolling. He's trolling. He's trolling. However, had he endorsed Trump, they would have said this is proof that Trump is a white supremacist. And they would have slammed Trump and slammed Richard Spencer for that. But no, because he's supporting Biden, obviously he's a troll. See, if he supports Republican, it's proof that the Republican is a white supremacist. If he supports a Democrat, it's proof that Richard Spencer's trolling. You see, the dissonance, the hypocrisy. You know, it's reaching staggering levels. So, when is it okay to take a holiday? When is it not okay to take a holiday? Well, I'll tell you when it's not okay to take a holiday. It's not okay to take a holiday if you're an ordinary person like you and me. We need to be staying in our houses, locked down with our masks on our faces. And especially if you're the Prime Minister, you're not allowed to take a holiday. Well, this is news to me, considering that nobody complained when David Cameron took a holiday, Theresa May took a holiday, Tony Blair took a holiday, any other Prime Minister took a holiday. It didn't matter. But now it matters because, you know, reasons. But when is it okay to take a holiday? Well, if you're Ian Blackford, MP, the member of the Scottish National Party, the guy everybody loves to hate, he pictured himself on a boat off the coast of Scotland saying, I'm enjoying a nice relaxing time away from it all. And his sycophants and people on the left were saying, good on you, you've earned the rest, but not the Prime Minister, because he's the Prime Minister, he's not allowed to have a holiday. And this is the kind of crazy thinking that's going around, highly selective. One rule for me, one rule for thee. That is the mantra of the left. But it didn't stop there with Boris Johnson's camping trip out in the Scottish Highlands, which, incidentally, when that got leaked to the press, and the press kind of descended on the Prime Minister and Carrie Simon's holiday location, pestering him, he had to abandon the holiday in the end. Who leaked that information? Well, apparently it was Ian Blackford MP. Interesting. That he's allowed to have a holiday, peace and quiet, trip away from it all. Good on you, mate. You've earned it. But no, the Prime Minister, he has to be harassed back off a holiday. He has to have it cancelled for reasons, because he's not our tribe. So, the madness didn't end there. Jessica Simor QC, a woman whose insanity I've been gradually watching over the last 4 years, tweeted out that it's fake. There was a story a couple of months ago that there was a picture of Carrie Simmons feeding their little baby, and people saying it was a fake baby in the shot. It's not a real baby. Did she actually have a baby with Boris Johnson? Is it all kind of some kind of false flag? I don't know. Conspiracy theory that in order to boost his popularity, they've faked her giving birth to a baby, and what we saw was a facsimile of a baby in that photo. But it goes on with Jessica Simor QC saying, this is the Prime Minister that was supposed to be dying a few months ago, and here he is out on a camping trip in Scotland. Well, why not? He had a serious illness, he was hospitalised, he was treated, he was cured, and he's going on a camping trip. That is not beyond the realms of possibility. But I don't suppose Jessica Simor QC knows of life outside of, inside the M25, and then jetting off to Mustique or some other, or Davos or somewhere luxurious like that. She doesn't live in the real world where people go on camping holidays in the British countryside. So it's all getting quite insane. But the insanity didn't end there. No, Piers Morgan had to wade in on this one as well. So the photo got released of the Prime Minister with his baby in what's popularly known as a sling or baby carrier, or in Morgan's words, a papoose, which is the traditional, I think, Native American way of carrying a child. So he just said, what a pathetic weakling. He carries his baby around in a papoose. This is the first time, by the way, Morgan has slammed a man for carrying a baby in a baby sling, wearing a baby sling and having the baby there. He did it to Daniel Craig a couple of years ago, slammed him for carrying a baby around like that. Well, I've got news for you, Morgan, moron. It's a fatherly thing, it's absolutely great. My wife and I had one of these things, and both our sons were carried that way. It's great, particularly if you're going hiking. You've got a ordnance survey map in one hand, and and you got the baby. You can sling it on the back, sling it on the front. It's great. It's very handy. It's very practical, and I don't give a shit what Piers Morgan thinks is manly or not manly. Being a father is just manly in itself. Taking your child, baby child, out into the British countryside is manly. Fuck you, Piers Morgan. But the thing is that it reveals a weird side of Piers Morgan. But people just criticised him. All kinds of men stood up and told Moron where to get off. But he's doubled down, trebled down, as he usually does, because Piers Morgan can never be wrong, even when he's faking news stories or banging former England footballers' wives. So, but it didn't end there. The insanity didn't end there, because somebody called, and I'm going to look up her name here. Her name is Sarah Ockwell Smith, who is a lefty academic and writer. And she tweeted this to Moron, which was, please stop using outdated racist word papoose. See wikipedia.org wiki papoose. The correct terminology is baby carrier or sling, if that's an unstructured carrier. Oh, give it a rest. Papoose, papoose, papoose. I owned a papoose. I put my babies in a papoose. Deal with it. So there's a new Call of Duty game out now. Right, Call of Duty Cold War, in which You are the hero of NATO, defending the Free West against the evil Warsaw Pact and Soviet Union. I'm not joking. That's the premise of the game. Basically, the premise of the game is that the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact are the bad guys. You go and you do the Call of Duty stuff on them. And this time, you're not an Allied soldier in World War II fighting the Nazis, or you're a modern-day soldier fighting tourists. You're out there fighting the bad guys of the 50s through to the 1980s. And fair enough, they were. I don't care what any melt born after 1990 says. Oh, we can't have a go at the Soviet Union. No, we can have a go at the Soviet Union. There were no gulags. It was really good until the evil West brought it all down. Don't care. Absolutely don't care. Because, as I said in a previous video, I've known people who fell foul of the Soviet Union and their lackeys, and it's absolutely terrifying. You guys love the phrase lived experience. Well, I know people who had lived experience behind the Iron Curtain. It was not pleasant. I've seen the scars. You snotlings born after 1990 have no idea, right? There's some of you go out and you read history and you pay attention to people who were alive at the time and who experienced it firsthand. And this is what you do when you're just a responsible thinking person, is that you do some research, you listen more than you speak, and you get a better understanding of history and what happened in the past before you were born. And to those people, I salute you. But to the whiny revisionists out there who are dreaming of socialist utopia, I'm a bit sweary this week. Not normally like this, but you see, it's built up, hasn't it? It's built up over not having done this for a few weeks. So stick with me. So let's talk about a couple of classic British institutions, shall we? Let's talk about the royal family first of all. And Meghan Markle has, in her retreat in the United States, has basically said she needs to speak out against racism and speak in favour of Black Lives Matter. Sorry, no, there's a billion and one royal protocols you're violating by doing that. Absolutely, I think her and Prince Harry just need to be totally cut out. If they want to become social justice activists and take a partisan political stance, this isn't about campaigning against landmines. This isn't campaigning for AIDS research and better understanding for AIDS research. This is out and out left-wing political activism. And she knew this protocol. She was briefed on this protocol. She knew about this protocol, and she is willingly violating it. So she just needs to be, absolutely have no connection with the royal family outside of her marriage. And if that means that Harry is cut out of the loop, so be it. The other institution that has gone woke, that the story's still unfolding, but it was the BBC, and talk was in the build-up to the last night of the Proms. They have a guest conductor who curates the music for the evening, and it's this Finnish conductor, and she basically said that, now is the time to drop the patriotic songs, because they're links to colonialism and slavery. But anyway, this is she was basically saying that because there's not going to be an audience, and not going to perform live in front of an audience at the Royal Albert Hall, now is the time to change the format of the last night of the Proms, ditch the patriotic songs, do something completely different. And that looked like the BBC were going to double down on it, but predictably there was a huge outcry, huge backlash, and it even reached Downing Street and the government, and on this occasion the Conservative government decided, oh crikey, we're Conservatives, we better speak out. And they said no, the songs stay. Well, certainly Rule Britannia stays, Jerusalem stays, Land of Hope and Glory is still up in the air. I don't know what's wrong with the lyrics of that. I think they're perfectly brilliant lyrics for a national anthem. I know it's not the official UK national anthem. It is the English anthem, but it's a great anthem. But anyway, the BBC have climbed down. They said they're going to play the patriotic songs at last night of Proms, but instead of the usual classical music fare that we get at the last night of Proms, or throughout the Proms in general, no, we're going to get "You'll Never Walk Alone," the Jerry and the Pacemakers hit from 1963, which is the Liverpool Football Club anthem. And anybody who's had run-ins with people who support Liverpool Football Club on Twitter, no, this is perfectly apt. It's a marriage made in heaven, isn't it? Left-wing Ponzi activism in Broadcasting House and the kind of socialist Liverpool fans on Twitter. Yeah, fit together like a hand in a glove. If the glove fit, you can't acquit. Speaking of television, the Guardian's TV critic, can't remember his name, but he put out on Twitter his disbelief and his sadness that Channel 5 seems to be winning the ratings war in the evenings on British television, and how Channel 5 pulling in big ratings. Well, they make shows with titles like Yorkshire, that put Yorkshire, Canal, River, Hill, put any kind of geographical feature, and Yorkshire or the Peak District or the Lake District, you use these, and canal, barge, yacht, you put these words together and they make a ratings winner for Channel 5. So basically Channel 5 have been doing some successful shows based around the premise of going around beautiful places in the United Kingdom, on a canal barge, hiking, pony trekking, all these kind of very wholesome outdoor pursuits in the UK. And it just gets under the Guardian TV critic's skin, because he tweeted out that there are all these innovative and courageous, stunning and brave TV producers producing hard-hitting, challenging, i.e. wank, dramas that push the boundaries of what we know, where everything you know is wrong. And they're losing. They're getting next to no viewers compared to, and here, along the majestic Tyne and Wear Canal, with the rolling dales in the background. And they're losing out to those kind of shows. All those 70-year-olds watching this stuff. Yeah, because they're entitled to watch television as well, because they now pay their license. And I'm loving it. I'm doing a lot of this tonight. All this going on, the strangest Twitter spat I had this week was with the premise of the original post was that the establishment, i.e. the mainstream media, academia, the civil service, the public services, et al., all now lean to the left. Okay, now some would argue that they're way to the left, they're out and out socialist, borderline Marxist. But for the purposes of this discussion, let's just say they lean left, as opposed to leaning right. Now, there's one chap, a guy called David, who was adamant that the establishment still leans to the right. So myself and a couple of other people showed examples of how the establishment now leans left. So there is, I think, a chap called, I can't remember his name, but he's the lead. He's the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Defence, so he's the most senior civil servant in the Ministry of Defence, and he's openly endorsed Black Lives Matter, and he's encouraging everybody in his department to do hashtag Black Lives Matter, and he's also got some chairing an inter-departmental civil service race committee dedicated to diversity quotas, openly supporting Black Lives Matter. His counterpart over at the Department of Education, another permanent secretary, have pledged their support to Black Lives Matter and encouraging his staff to hashtag Black Lives Matter on social media. So this is absolutely partisan political leanings by senior members of the civil service in support of a Marxist organisation. We have Comcast, who owns Sky Television, prominently displaying the Black Lives Matter logo, hashtag Black Lives Matter. If you tune into Sky Sports, all the TV presenters are required to wear a Black Lives Matter badge. All the sportsmen in various sports are required to take the knee in support of Black Lives Matter. And the logo Black Lives Matter appears on the cricket scorecard. So this is proof that the establishment now leans left. You can make a reasonable case, in my opinion, that they've gone very far to the left. But even if you're being generous, it leans left. Now, this David said, well, if that were the case, if they were that partisan, if they were that politically open in violation of the impartiality standards, surely the government would sack them. I rest my case. The establishment leans to the left. I mean, there's more. We could talk about what's going on with the government, why they're caving in on a number of social issues. My personal feeling from what I know, what I've discussed with others, is that you have a government that lives in fear of bad media coverage, and also is encircled by entrenched civil servants that are almost very difficult to move, and the civil service is flexing its muscle and dragging the government to where it wants to be, rather than the government setting down policy and the civil service having to enact it. We are seeing, as I've said before, democracy in the United Kingdom has been bypassed. We now have leadership and government by other means, via activism, via entrenched Marxism, entrenched in a number of levels of British society, in government, in media, in academia. And this is very hard to dislodge. And it's going to have to be confronted, but how that is going to manifest itself is a topic for another discussion. But I do hope people on the right start having this discussion. There are a number of ideas floating around, some of them impractical, some of them I think have a bit of a chance, and some of them are downright dangerous. As I said, that's another video to cover. I would love to discuss more, perhaps on the live stream, with some people about this. But on that cheery note, and I'll hopefully see you a bit sooner than it has been of late. Good night, everybody, and take care.